Hey, what's up, everyone? You're currently tuned into TBD here on KCSB FM 91.9 in Santa Barbara and NetNet Radio. We have John Daniel from Forest Management here with us. How you doing, John?
Good. I'm doing really well. How are you guys
Um,
doing?
dude,
Yeah, great.
just
Yeah.
chilling. I guess just to get us a little warmed up. How have you been holding up during, I guess, the COVID times? I guess. How have you adapted as a musician? How have you been occupying your time as a creative? Every time, every artist I have usually has like very
Yeah.
mixed responses on this.
Yeah, totally. Um, Definitely been a challenge overall. I'd say I like the amount of time at home. My day job was like or is still like a 9 to 5 kind of like office job. I would go to downtown to work at. So I've had a lot more studio hours, and just like time to just kind of like process things, research, dig around. So just having that like kind of marginal time that I didn't have before,
Yeah.
definitely like blessing and like something, really tried to, as a lot of people have just really focused on the good, and really like what we do have out of it through it. But yeah, not having the gigs was a real like weird blow earlier in the year, just because
Yeah.
in 2019 I had just been to Berlin for the first time
Oh, really?
in
Oh,
December of 2019, and that was cool. Like I had done the Euro tour a few times before, but just like I really felt like I was getting ready to book a bunch of dates in like US and
Mhm.
Canada, places that have since shut down, unfortunately.
Wow.
But that was just, I think that was just a major uh rift for a lot of people, of course, right? And
Yeah,
it's
for
just, I
sure.
guess I realized too how much I had really centered a lot of my project around like the touring
Mhm.
live experience, just because I guess how I like kind of came up in music with like bands and stuff. But now it's like, yeah, a lot of things have shifted, and I've been, yeah, it's like more of this kind of internal
Mhm.
uh more practice and just getting, into the studio practices. But um on a non-creative level though, yeah, otherwise I've been good. Like health has been good. I think I may have had the virus like earlier in the year, like in January, and like, a lot of people
Yeah.
are wondering, just like weird symptoms. But yeah, otherwise good. I live alone in a really small studio, so I've just been like kind of locking it down and still have work, so can't complain there. But yeah, like I just, it's like, because a place, a city like Chicago, just like, I don't know, it's still Midwest. I'm from Cleveland at heart. So I miss Cleveland very much, and being able to like go to the park, and just
oh
like,
man.
it's not like a big city, it's like a city, but it's like, yeah, you just have the space. And so here it's like, I literally like, I don't know, I look out the window and I see like another like building just right in front of me. It's just, yeah, I mean, it's like, I'm not complaining at all. Like you make your environment what it is, but just definitely that I think a lot of people, I realized like, or I don't know, it's quite a paralysis of life.
Yeah.
'Cause it's like, oh,
Yeah.
let's say you move to a city. For example, a lot of people have left the city because it's like, oh, we got all settled in, got the get everything set up to do this, life that's just not going on anymore. But anyways, yeah, that's you've probably gotten like 50 different versions of that. But yeah, like otherwise, overall, I've been good, and
That's cool.
the music is flowing, and making some new connections too, and people. So
Have you
yeah,
been doing like virtual gigs and stuff or
yes, that was I kind of slowed down on that towards the end of this year, but like I would say like in the summertime, like June, July, um it really like I got a lot of requests, and so some of which I said no to, but others, yeah, I got to the Museum of Contemporary Art in Chicago here.
Oh wow.
Did a virtual gig for them, just kind of soundtracking like one of their exhibitions. So I got to like go there and like check out the exhibition with my mask on. It's kind of weird, like it's just like
kind of
everything's so
strange?
weird right
Yeah.
now. But anyways, you make the most of it, and yeah, that was cool. And then I got to play on sound this year, which was really like cool. Like
Oh, wow.
just because I had followed that that's a festival I had actually followed before, and
Mhm.
definitely surreal. Just like it's virtual this year, and I think they did the best they could. too. But other than that, I've done some more like DJ stuff. I guess like kind of delving into DJing a little bit. I'm not as experienced with like DJ mixes, especially like on the spot. I learned to like
Yeah.
my buddy Michael like basically like taught me how to like beat match this year. Been
Oh,
doing that.
dude, that's super cool.
Yeah, just like having fun with it, getting out of your zone for a little bit, and but yeah, we have like a Mixlr. It's like a weekly Monday night through Reserve Matinee. Actually, man, yeah. So it's like Monday nights from 8 to 10 or 11. We'll just have a guest DJ or maybe
Oh, wow,
just
that's cool. Where's
yeah.
that? Like, where can you find that?
Mixlr.com/Reserve Matinee. It's just we didn't go the Twitch route, so we're just doing like radio. It's essentially right, just freeform radio.
Yeah, that's so
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, there's still like a chat in there. Yeah, so that's been a good like excuse to like just getting more mixing and just doing these like spontaneous mixes and stuff. So
That's
yeah,
so cool. So
yeah.
I guess when I guess in-person events are a thing, can we expect you to be a rave DJ come 2021?
Definitely not, but uh yeah, I'm gonna stay in my lane, but no, I'm just kidding. Yeah, like definitely I'm trying to yeah, would love to like do some improv. I've never done like a DJ gig like live with hardware, so that'd be
Yeah.
fun. Just like getting at trying some things,
Yeah,
failing,
do you use like vinyl or is it like a CDJ type thing or?
um it's like a well, the one I've been using is a MIDI controller, like the one of those Pioneer DJ SR2s, and
Mhm.
then yeah, and then like actually Reserve Matinee was putting on events at the start of 2020, right? Up until February, we had like a CDJ system going on there. I'm not really actually well versed with CDJ tech at all, but yeah, it's been mostly that. I haven't gotten into vinyl yet though, and that's something I've always wanted to try. Especially like beatless vinyl.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, it'd just be a lot of fun. But I don't have the
Yeah,
technology. Yeah.
at the station we have Sans Gnome is his DJ name, and he does like fully like vinyl mixed like DJ sets every show, and he's been doing this for like 10 years or something. It's
Yeah.
like insane. It's like an art. And he'll do
Wow.
like workshops at the station every now and then. And I remember trying it once and I was like, yeah, I can't do
Yeah.
this.
I get scared.
Like
I
a
get scared to do that kind of stuff. I care more about just doing a good fade in, fade out.
yeah.
Exactly, right? I'm like, as long as my transitions are cool, then that's
Yeah.
good enough for me. So you were saying you're Chicago based, right? What's the scene like there? How'd you get involved? How'd you find your place? I know Chicago has like a ton of scenes. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. I moved here in early 2016 from Cleveland. So yeah, I just wanted to move to a larger city amongst other reasons. Really was looking at New York for a minute, but yeah, I ultimately decided to stay in the Midwest. I'm glad I did, and came to Chicago, and like just immediately was welcomed with open arms. Like a lot of the people, like places like Danny's Tavern, which is no longer open, unfortunately. Danny's Tavern, like the Hideout, Elastic Arts, venues like that. Like a lot of these, the beautiful thing about Chicago, a lot of people from Chicago will always say is like there's just the cross pollination of genres and like um, just the spirit of collaboration and like yeah, people just hanging out, improv,
yeah,
jazz, techno, noise. So I really like felt. I think it was just very like organic. Like I was going to the club on the reg for the first time in my
mhm,
life. You know what I mean? Didn't do that in Cleveland. So it's like just kind of these. Yeah, it really enriched me. My life. It was yeah, the live music portion of it was really special. So not having that's been tough, but like yeah, still a great community here. And like I'm in Uptown, which is on the north side.
yeah,
Um, so farther like distance from farther distance from like the center. I would like where a lot of people live. I would say uh, a lot of like people that I know and a lot of where the shows were at. But I have made a few friends up here in the north side that keep in touch. But um, yeah, it's not too hard to get around the city though.
yeah.
But
That's cool. So were you you mentioned Cleveland. Like, were you involved in like a scene in Cleveland or anything? Like, what was your start there? Like,
Yeah. So um so since I went to school, like I was like basically after I graduated high school, kind of going back to that a little bit, like I started like working on my own music, and it was a couple of years. I would say 2010 was the very first. Like a few years later, in 2010, that was the first like noise gig I went to in Cleveland, and
yeah,
I found it on Facebook. Like I just like, it was just like really at that time. Obviously, it's changed, but like at that time, it was like, here's this thing going on. You
mhm,
just find out about these like gigs that just through knowing people and being connected to people, right? And so, um, yeah, that was the first. But I got involved more in like 2012. It started playing. I was started getting invited to play and to open for people like uh at like gigs and stuff. Like
yeah,
people like on tour coming through, and that was really cool because I felt really it was a good like reason to get out some gear and like kind of like figure out like what is this becoming.
mhm,
And forest management was already like decided at that point, but just like getting out of my shell more. I think 2012, 2013 was like just sharing demos with people and like random Bandcamp digi releases that I would sometimes delete shortly after, like stuff like that. And then like I'd have a few people like Sam Goldberg is one,
Oh wow.
guys that were really nice to me. That Sam Goldberg was actually the first person that like DM me on Facebook. It was like, yo, this track is sick. Like, first person. And he,
Please remind me, does Sam Goldberg run Pizza Night?
yeah.
Mhm.
Still
oh
the,
wow,
There we
yeah.
go.
And so, and then at this time, yeah, it's like, this is before I'm like going into the history of all of it and realizing, the riches of Cleveland, at the time. But yeah, it's just like, it was cool to be around. And I would say it's like 2011, this 2012 ish. I'm like kind of at a lot of the noise and experimental music, like labels like that, for example, like they were kind of, I really kind of more hyperactive in 2009, right? 2010. And
mhm,
like things kind of started to shift a little bit. There's definitely new things that have sprung up there, but
I
I can,
remember because I asked him in the interview that you guys did for just a list of labels, and a lot of this stuff was early, well, not early aughts, but early tens noise or stuff like
yeah,
Deception Island and Bizarre Formations that have carved a really specific niche you don't even see like Cassette Gods or Tabs Out probably give the most coverage to. They're
exactly.
just very out there.
I met, it's like Reservoir Formations, Matt, Eric. I met him at Happy Dog in Cleveland because he came through Cleveland on a rare tour. That's probably the
Oh,
last time he was in Cleveland. Just like through met him. Yeah, so just all these amazing, yeah. These I would have to also shout out like Julian Goulias, my old homie, who's still in Cleveland. He's just an incredible artist, musician, guitarist. Like, anyways, he unloaded like a bunch of tapes on me too, like 2012ish. And he ran Cylindrical Habitat Modules, that one tape label, and did a bunch of other stuff too, like layouts and stuff for like Sam and people. But
mhm.
yeah, anyways, yeah, just like I got lucky and just blessed just to be around really awesome people that had cool taste and stuff. But yeah, the gigs. So yeah, the gigs started 2012, 2013, and then at that point you're like, all right, like I'm gonna try to like book some gigs of my own and you know put out a tape or something.
Yeah.
big. Um, One question at least I have about that period because you were a touring drummer, and a couple of those early tape releases on Bandcamp they were made during probably just kind of breaks. I think on the 2014 one you had recorded it in Ohio in a
Yeah,
hotel.
yeah. So that one specifically, I can speak to that night. Like it were like that was actually I was actually in Columbus to like record an album with Julian Goulias and his brother Joe because I was in a prog, like a death prog band with them for like a minute,
Sick.
like medieval prog. It was dope, and like
Nice.
it was called Infero, and yeah, we did like there's two records. I'm looking at one right now. It's called Spirit from Blood Sight, and it's like a um really dope. Like we recorded that in Yeah, Chicago. We started. I'm getting that mixed up. Anyways, we recorded a couple albums, and I was on drums there. So never toured with them, but yeah, I did tour for like a punk band in 2015, and like I did record a lot of Force Maiden. I would say like that year, like on the road, like 2015. Um, but yeah, my first like official touring experience was on drums. Like yeah, a couple years prior. But
Drums doing Death Prog. That's tight.
yeah. It was. I'll definitely send that over. It just, yeah, they put out a couple LPs actually. Um, it's just like Inferno without the end. It's like a great
That was the
project.
name of the band, Inferno.
Inferno.
Inferno. Okay, yeah. Okay, that's sick, dude.
So yeah, Julian's just mastermind guitarist, just total like perfectionist style. Like in the studio, we'd be doing takes over and over, like, and I just enjoyed it. And that was really the last time I was like writing on drums, I'd say, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
a lot of it was for me as somebody who's more like, I don't know, fringe stylistically or whatever. I don't even like that word, but just like, you know, I was mostly interested in post rock in high school, you know what I mean? So I was one of those like boring people, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So I could play punk songs, you know, so I did eventually, but it was really like, if I'm gonna write music, it was gonna just most likely be like weird or, you know, like not traditional. But I haven't played drums really as regularly since that year, since I was in Cleveland, and that's something I miss and hoped to return to last year. But yeah.
When you talk about kind of that post rock influence, what in specific were you gravitating towards? Like early kind of '90s stuff there that would have been coming from England, American underground stuff like off of Cranky or Constellations, early aughts.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I got to shout out like Toronto, like
Yeah.
doing the thing, whole crew. Like, now, when my friends Adam Smith and Adam Milner showed me that band. So I think when that happened, that was a real, just the juxtaposition of textural music and yeah, jazz and like, you know, these rock elements. It was just, yeah, I had never heard anything like that before. So kind of, yeah. And I was also really into like folk adjacent kind of stuff and independent songwriting stuff. I gravitated towards that. Uh, you know, so I'd be like jamming like Nick Drake and Peter Broderick. So that stuff like that eventually would lead me into this, this kind of hybrid world, I guess. And then yeah, there's some like let's see who else I would, yeah, Cranky of course was like huge.
Yeah.
I think by the time it's like when I got into like labels like that, I was already, honestly, the post rock thing didn't last long. It just because like I was just feel like it, sonically I was just really fascinated by these different worlds, and I felt you go deeper and deeper. It's like, and then you find like something like drone music.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like once I found that, it's like stars the lid, you know. It's kind of hard
to go back.
Yeah, or it really occupies a lot of your 10 years
They're
later.
sublime albums. I mean, those Stars of the Lid are like that. Yeah. That's pretty much the pinnacle of everything we'll make. You listen to it and it looks like you're watching a star just dissolve in front of you.
That's a great review.
Let's see. One of probably a couple more things before maybe we get into the Geographic North. You also had appeared on a Cloud Nothings remix.
Oh yeah.
And I guess that's what led you to do the Unifactor tape a few years later.
Oh man, yeah. So my years get all weird, but yeah, 2015. Yeah, that was this record store day. Cloud Nothings are homies, like Jason. So I actually went to high school with Dylan.
Oh, that's crazy.
I went to Westlake High School. Yeah, and that's also like the next neighborhood over from where like all the Emeralds guys like grew up and stuff. So it was really,
my god!
like I'm not even kidding. The night before I went to, you know, the night before I moved to Chicago, I hung out with Mark McGuire for the first time because we realized like we grew up like 5 minutes away from each other, like a 5-minute walk, and you know, but that just again, like Cleveland's unique like that. But yeah, I just I got to know Dylan through just like mutual friend, like high school music people, band people. And then I just like went to their shows, and then eventually I met like Jason and TJ, and we like connected also. Like, and Jason and TJ with the Unit Factor label, just like, yeah, was really stoked. I remember when they were just getting off the ground, but yeah, that one was no, the Remix record was a lot of fun. It was all like Ohio people that did remixes, and yeah, they're just a great. I can't say enough good things about that band. Like they, that they really, it's like a rare thing just to have a band like who, they're playing these pop punk audiences, but they'll have like Aaron Dillaway open for them. You know what I mean? And just like really not afraid. Like they're not concerned with these, right? Like these boundaries or tropes or whatever.
Yeah.
Really supportive dudes, and yeah, loyal to Cleveland. So
that's it.
They had a free jazz album this year.
Yeah.
Baldy, and I thought that was I was so happy that Car Park had put that out. I was not going to pick up the vinyl. I only do tapes, but I was like, yes, they did it.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. I wouldn't have expected that from them, honestly.
I used to, like 2015, I would just go over to Jason's and we'd hang out, smoke, and he'd show me some records. He just like some techniques, like dub techno records, and blow him, mind. I'm like, cool. You just continue to, right? You're around these different people. Each person kind of, you realize, has their own like aura of just experience or something. Not to get too philosophical about it, but yeah, just like that's precisely what was happening. And definitely vividly remember a lot of those hangs.
That's sick. So I guess talking about like Geographic North, like Maddie was saying, what was your approach to your track Eastbound sometimes for the Geographic North comp, A Little Night Music? And what sets this track sort of apart from the rest of your work, and how does it tie into what you've been doing past and present?
That's a great question. No, because it's funny you asked about that. That one actually is so my very first tape in 2012.
Westbound. The Westbound.
Yeah.
Okay. So it is a reference.
It was great. Like it's I actually sampled that. So I have a cassette. I still have like one cassette copy of that tape. And I just like over the years I have definitely like recycled like old materials. So that's what I did for this comp track. And it was really like kind of just it was 2020, feeling the feels. And like Geographic North is like a label that I'm like, I really have always admired. And I remember like 5 years ago being like, oh, I wonder if I send them my demo, like, like, which I never did, but I just, I appreciated them bringing me into that for the comp. And Bobby's always been super supportive in terms of like writing too, and Decoder Mag was still a thing. Anyways, so it was just kind of full circle. So I was like, I took this tape, and then I have like a handheld Panasonic player, and just like recorded the tape back into Ableton, and I did just random shit there. But that actually ended up, so I just like inversed the title, and the original title was just like a reference to like driving.
Was it a Stars? It looked like a Stars of the Lid reference almost.
Yeah, that was very me 8 years ago. Just very like all my titles were just trying to be tired sounds. No, I'm just kidding. Not everything. I was just very influenced by that, but
that's sick.
Thanks.
I know, because I had talked with Bobby a little bit about, because when he was writing for Decoder, he got one of your CDs, and also he mentioned it smelled like cologne. I don't know if at the time you had perfumed them all, but he loved it. I mean, really, it, at least to me, stuck out as like a really just complete one-off in a really strong compilation, but it sounded like a digital bath. The way they sequence it right there at the end, it totally fits. And it's a little bit different from the last, or a couple of different things you had done, because last year you had taken a vinyl rip of I forget the name of the album, Debussy's La Mer
Yeah, Lumiere.
for After Dark.
Mhm.
And what was the difference? Is there like a kind of similarity there to what you were doing?
Um, yeah, in terms of just the multi-format cycle. Yeah, definitely. I Yeah, that's a good question too, because I really um just the taking using digital, since my workstation, it's digital. It's just like I usually will have that as like the final, step. But I try to incorporate as much like non-digital sources as I can. Usually it's a hodgepodge. But yeah, the After Dark record, that was just one side of a vinyl. Um, and yeah, just really like using, because vinyl definitely has certain, right, like just properties that tape doesn't have, and like
Yeah.
vice versa. So I'm trying to get more into like back into tape music. That's what I'm
Mhm.
saying. So like, yeah, I have a reel-to-reel here that's broken, and I try to like repair that. Ultimately, I saw After Dark as like a one-time thing, just clear, just very like, this is that. This process kind of dies with that for me, and
Mhm.
I'm ready to move. I'm gonna get back into tape processing, like I used to do, and then just do more like writing too, like some synthesizers. So let's get back into like writing and harmonies and notes and stuff. That really it doesn't do anything for you. Like, I don't know, it just doesn't make any sense when I talk about it out loud. But like, I just, you know what I mean? It's just like the difference between audio processing and like jamming, right? Like,
Yeah.
I got really heavy into like sampling when I moved to Chicago. So I just like, it
Mhm.
was at one point I get in the habit of just opening Ableton, and all I'm doing is, sampling and processing. So it's cool, but yeah, I'm definitely um, gonna expand it.
Yeah, that's sick. So looking at your discogs, your catalog is like really prolific, and you've worked with like a ton of like small imprints other than your own. To name a few, there's like Whited Sepulchre, Baked Tapes, Constellation Tatsu, and even your own label, Reserve Matinee.
Yeah.
It's kind of
So, what's your favorite? What's
yeah,
your
what
favorite to work with? Top
Really
10, rank them all.
can't. But no, they're all good. Yeah, there's definitely, you know, I've been like, I remember actually like my first demo, like saying in 2013, I would hit up like 20 labels, and like maybe one label got back to me. It was
Whoa.
really more, I was sending it. It was interesting because, to kind of explain that more, it's like I was contacting mostly American labels
Hmm.
and like some Europe labels, but what ended up happening is like, yeah, the label that got back to me is based in the UK, and Cathedral Transmissions, the very first like David Newland's the very first dude to like be like, I'm gonna like put this out on a disc.
Yeah.
So just like that, there's just the randomness of that, I guess, was interesting. And then all of a sudden I'm like, um, yeah, just communicating with like sharing the music with people in like Europe, these more like micro labels, I guess you could say, or like, yeah, just really, some of them would do like 3-inch CDRs or just like a CDR homemade, just a real like certain vibe. And then back in America, I started putting out my first cassettes, because there's like the tape label thing was like,
Hmm.
and so just like, yeah, very interesting how it's kind of just the cultures,
Yeah, yeah,
different.
yeah.
Yeah. Um,
That's sick.
yeah,
So
there's a lot of good things I could say about a lot of these labels, like, and the cool thing I really cherish too is like just being able to have some kind of relationship with a label, and
mhm.
there are labels on there that I don't have a relationship with, and like it's definitely you live and learn, and you just, yeah, for me it's more about really working with people that I feel like I know, or they know me at least to some extent.
Mhm.
But yeah, like some of those labels I met in person, like at a show or just on the road. And those are really special because it just kind of like cements this like, it's like that happened because you were out there because of music in the first place. It's just like really cool. He's organic. It's just different from getting like a an email, right? But
Yeah, totally.
both had their own place. But yeah, it's just like, I definitely appreciate that. So those are definitely sprinkled in there. And then, yeah.
That's awesome. So let's see, you mentioned, hold on, I lost my place. Sorry about that. I'll edit this part out. So you mentioned to me that your DJ set following our conversation will revolve around like jazz and like your jazz reissue imprint that you'll be fronting in the new year.
Yeah.
Seeing that you're involved in managing like multiple labels, such as like, we mentioned Reserve Matinee already, among others that you've done. What can you tell me about your new jazz imprint? What's it called? What's
Yeah.
your vision for the label? How did the idea come about?
Yeah. So something this year that I really felt was important it was just to clean up my kind of idea of like running a label or curating or what it may be, And so because I've had a few and I'm kind of just chosen to leave certain things dormant, So like Sequel as a label that I ran from 2015 to last year, right? Reserve Matinee is still going strong. That's a collaborative label, so it's really, and it's Chicago, so I'm like, we're mostly Chicago artists, so we'll definitely be keeping the focus on that, like staying with tapes, but we'll also be moving towards vinyl with Reserve Matinee.
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to like, I was like, well, that's kind of like a lot there, and I wanted to do like just something that I would say a quarantine thing that definitely has been fruitful for me and like has a cool activity has been just like reading history, like learning Chicago jazz history, like early jazz, like from like 1905 to like 1940s ish.
Incredible.
A couple books, like just really. A lot of blacks moved from like North or New Orleans up to North to Chicago, and like Harlem Renaissance was about to pop off in New York. So it's really all those kind of like historical moments, I guess, as it relates to how jazz kind of unfurled, or kind of opened up. I had never really looked into that before this year, so that really like, and learning the significance of Chicago and like neighborhoods like Bronzeville, where it was like there was a lot of like just really sick like jazz bars there that aren't there anymore, and there's only just like these pictures online that you can see. But those have just, I don't know, just like looking at all that really like struck something in me. So I really want to like use the idea of a label, right? It's like this history project, almost kind of like sharing history of people, things that maybe they didn't know before, like shining light on, moments of history, and like, so like doing that through reissue. Because I was thinking like, like.
So like what I guess what year were you saying this was going to be like based around, what like year of jazz?
Well, sorry. It's really not a particular time, but like when we say early jazz, that really like, I just read about this guy named Wilbur Sweatman, and that was like 1907, 1906, I want to say. So that, and he was like jamming like 3 clarinets at the same time, like
in 1907. That was a thing. That's crazy.
And like people use the word like eerie and strange to describe his music. So I was just like, like I can't not get excited when I read stuff like that. What's that?
I mean, again, a lot of that music would have been, if it's saved on a phonograph, wouldn't it also be recorded on shellac and just completely? I'm thinking about also that reissue that they did of 1930s and 40s jazz recently as well, that covers a 14-year period, and just the quality of the music compared to its original release had been significantly increased. But
I'm very
that
curious.
weird and eerie because they're just such a it's like looking at an 1800s like sepia tone photograph.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just rambling off. It
No,
excites me.
no, exactly what you're saying. So that's like, yeah, and that really struck some things with me. And then just like, I guess just living here, like down the street from where some of these clubs used to be, like I found a club that used to be like in view by window, basically, you know, and like it's just like wild, just kind of, I don't know, and you know, it's just, yeah,
Totally. I
but
mean, there's like so much history in jazz
yeah,
in like Chicago. Like I feel like you can bounce off like so many different directions with that label. Like this is like super sick, and I'm like super stoked
I
to see
appreciate
like
that. Thank you.
yeah, what you like come up with. Like I was really into like ESP. Are you familiar with like ESP disc? Yeah, I was
Yeah,
really into like ESP in like the 60s like free jazz scene for a little while. And I know like New York and like Chicago were both like, you know, like the forefront cities of like this of what
yeah,
like all this like free like experimental like avant-garde was like back
yes.
then. So
A lot of it was very
definitely
powerful too, in terms of just like the civil rights movement and just like how the it's just like the significance of all that. And how they were like these artists were using their voices, and there's just, I just see a lot of interesting parallels between then and now, you know, and yeah, that's all I'll say. But yeah, I really like. I'm excited to get into it, and I'm going into it with a very like
so
fresh. I don't, you know, I'm here to learn. I just like
yeah, yeah, totally.
all the jazz labels in Chicago, obviously, like Delmark Records, you know, like just like, you know, they've got Cecil Taylor in their catalog, you know what I mean? Like this isn't going to be a giant thing, but I really just kind of, yeah, it's like if you're going to have a label, you might as well do something you're interested in, right? And it's like, and I figured with Reserve Matinee, since Reserve Matinee has been doing pretty well in terms of just like moving forward, like we're yeah, we're just dropping a lot of um, kind of stuff just from every direction, and like the vinyl is definitely going to be a thing next year. So I figured since those resources will be there, it'll be cool to like use some of those
Mhm.
for something like this, you know, even if it's just
Totally.
200 copies of like a obscure like spoken word record or something from a Chicago person, you know what I mean?
That'd
I
be
don't
sick.
know.
So like where are you gonna like source the audio from like these really old musicians? Like you mentioned like even back to like 1908, like where do you source audio? Like how do you get
Oh yeah, well, that's gonna be. Well, I'm not even sure if I'm gonna be able to go for stuff that early.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, I'm probably gonna start out with something just more accessible to me, and then you know dig in because I do want to just. I think the important part of this too is like to connect with the people that have been in Chicago, like you know, for decades and been like
Yeah.
studying stuff, and because they're out there. So just uh, like Angel Bot Weed comes to mind. You know, made
Mhm.
me reach out to her. Love Angel. But yeah, just like kind of getting into the just joining the conversation there, right? And then, but like, yeah, fidelity wise, it's gonna be interesting. I'm not actually most of the stuff I'm looking at is just the like regular 12-inch LPs, and these are actually like 1950s, 1960s.
Yeah.
Because I'm looking at pursuing. And one record is actually by Cecil Taylor. Excuse me. But yeah, um, yeah, we'll see. I haven't actually like thought like I'll probably hit some roadblocks with that stuff on the
Yeah,
way.
yeah, yeah, totally. This is kind of like
It seems like there's a blueprint out there for it, you know, like
yeah, totally. I remember I did a show. I had like a label show on KCSB where I'll just like talk about different labels that I was like into at the time. And I did like a deep dive into like ESP, like I was talking about. And some like woman called me and was like, "Hey, my husband died when we were really young, and like he was a free jazz musician in Chicago, and like his like music was never like I guess she was saying like he was like popular in the scene, but like never got signed to a label for
yeah,
some reason. And this is like back in like the 60s, dude. And this old woman talking to me. And she was like, yeah. And then like some like randomly, you know, like however many years later, it's like 2019 or something at the time, some French people contacted her and like hit her up to like reissue like his music. And she was like, this is insane. Like no, like nobody has talked to me about this ever. And
yeah,
I wish I still had the dude's name, but like I wrote it down briefly and did like a quick like Google search, and I honestly couldn't really find anything. But like I feel like something like that would be like sick. You know, if I
yeah.
could go through my notes and find that, I'll shoot you the dude's name because
Thank
that
you. that's precisely. I'm very interested in those stories, right?
Yeah, it's sick, dude. Like she was just telling me like, yeah, he was like big in the scene, was playing all like the jazz clubs and stuff like that, and then like he died and like nothing came of his work. And I'm just
yeah,
like, wow, dude, that is one of the craziest stories I've ever been told. Just like someone randomly calling into the station and like telling me this stuff, you know?
yeah.
So
Wow. I'm so yeah. Those reissue labels, they really like dig. Like they, yeah,
Mhm.
they because I would be on Discogs and I would find this like rare, like Sun Ra adjacent side project or something. It's
yeah,
like, what is this? And then yeah, it's like, lo and behold, reissued in 2020 or like
yeah,
2018.
yeah.
It's usually like a Euro label, and I'm like, yeah,
Dude, it is. Yeah, it's like crazy. It's like the Europeans are like digging into this like American scene from like such a long time ago. It's sick, you know? It's super
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Um,
So yeah.
so I guess this is kind of just have you ever like dug into I guess like the Chicago like free jazz scene that's like happening currently at all?
Yeah, so um it's like definitely so like that one of the venues I was mentioning earlier, Elastic Arts, they're
Yeah.
definitely like
I've got a tape of somebody who performed there. I think Claire Rosie did a
yeah,
show.
yeah, yeah. I wonder when that was. Yeah, they mostly, I mean, that's like a really cool place. They do a lot of jazz, a lot of the improv stuff. So
Yeah.
mostly my experience with it was just like through these improv um, gigs there, and because like I have friends, like my friend Norman Long, he's like a synthesist. He built his own like modular synths, but
Oh wow,
like
that's crazy.
he'll sit in, yeah, he'll sit in on he might sit on like a free jazz trio kind of set. Uh, so he kind of just like, yeah, you kind of meet these people, but like other than that, there's a jazz. I mean,
Have you dug like into I guess like ESS at all? Like the
oh
Experimental Sound Studio, I think it's called ESS. They're like I feel like that's all I hear about in terms of like, oh, this person's doing a live set at ESS now. Like, like and they're based in Chicago too, I think. So
yeah, they're great. They have a really cool studio. I've never been there, but yeah, they you can do some really cool like recording projects there, and like um, yeah, I know this guy Dan Weiss. He was involved there
oh
also.
yeah,
So
Dan Weish.
yeah, he also did a lot of booking at Elastic. Um, Booked me actually at Elastic before I moved to Chicago.
Oh
Uh,
really?
Nice.
but yeah, so I kind of know these. I kind of peripherally know a lot of the jazz heads I'd say, but I'm definitely like quietly fascinated by it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, I hear you. Not
And
directly involved in, I guess, but
forced management kind of kept me really busy, I guess, and just kind of where in terms of where I was,
yeah.
like what I was doing. So looking back, I'm like, oh man, I wish I would have just gone to more jazz gigs, but it's all good. It's hindsight. But yeah, it's like having like, oh yeah, Green Mill Jazz Club. That's like the oldest jazz club in Chicago. It's in my
Are they still
neighborhood.
like doing like shows and stuff, like jazz shows and stuff?
No, unfortunately, they
Is that a pandemic casualty?
oh no, it's still there, but they opened up earlier this year, like
Yeah.
pretty much, and had to close back down. Like their
Oh,
window got smashed open by this guy that was angry about his tab, and then like it's just sad. And then they just
Bummer.
like closed down with the mayor, I guess, or something. But like, yeah, they'll nobody's gonna touch that like building. It's just so historic. Like Al Capone used to go in there and like hang out
Wow, that's crazy.
in his booth. Like there's like a underground tunnel underneath the bar that goes across the street. Yeah, it's like real. Like it's just, and I love that. Was one of the reasons I moved to this neighborhood. Just be that in conjunction with the film history here. Uh,
Totally. I think I heard or reading the interview you did with Maddie for like Reserve Matinee. You're
yeah,
like, I think I might get ripped and go check out Charlie Chaplin's studio or something. So
I did. Yeah, no, exactly. No, but seriously, that's been a huge thing too. I would say like right before quarantine actually, and I still am delving into that a little. That's more of an ongoing project, but I don't know. It's part of this this jazz label, I guess it's called SNA Editions, and so the label is actually named after the defunct film studio on Argyle Street, which
Oh, wow. That's cool.
it's
Okay.
not community college, yeah. But anyways, that's where like this is pre-Hollywood, before people were going out to Cali, and so yeah, um, they did over like 10,000 productions there.
That's crazy. So you're saying your jazz label is called SNA?
SNA, so it's ESSANAY.
Okay, SNA. That's tight.
Yeah, that was the name of the. Yeah, just really, just weird, like random uptown history.
Yeah, dude, that's honestly amazing. It's like cool to see how like your neighborhood has like influenced a lot of your work and just how your interests have like, shifted around, and
Yeah,
yeah, that's amazing, dude.
sure.
So I guess we're getting close to wrapping up here. Did you want to ask anything else, Maddie, before we
Oh boy, I mean, just anything circling back to forest management with the one piece of equipment that you used for 2016 work, reinforcement, the Yamaha DX7. And I guess my only question I want to know, and you may have kind of circled a bit around some of this stuff, is some of the laptops you've probably, or software that you've used, they've gone to the wayside. Even maybe some of these, like this equipment, like the DX7. But when you use a device like this, are you kind of only thinking of it like it's going to be a one-term for just a one project, or do you look at it long-term, or maybe you'll come back in a decade after leaving it?
Yeah, it's more. I like to try to hold on. That's a great question. I'd like to try to hold on to things, and yeah, like, but I'll use them more sporadically, and it's really like not. Like I have my controller here, unfortunately, and it doesn't work anymore. It's like when I first bought it in 2010, that's where I got my copy of Ableton that I still use, and just different things. I've not been great with like acquiring new stuff, like synths, and building upon a certain system, because I kind of ultimately decided like my process is just more focused on other things, right? What's happening on the screen. But the DX7, yeah, like that, for example, I was super stoked to get that. My buddy Jim Schoenecker from Milwaukee, like, just dropped it off for me. One time he was like, "Hey, do you want this?" Yeah,
little hand me down?
yeah. Heavy as shit, and I like walked it to the bus stop, took the bus home, and that was good. That was a good day, And like, anyways, I used that for reinforcements. It's like, because the thing with a synth like that, to me, like, I look at a DX7, that there's just so much. That's years and years of material, and that's like, So for something like, just using like an organ preset on a synth like that, and then stretching it out, 4 times over, will it's really, I just loved how straightforward the process was for that, you know what I mean? And just getting fresh sounds. So, because there is like degradation that happens, obviously, when I do recycle like tapes or old material, or so that's cool. But then it's also nice to get these like strong sounds that you do definitely get from like an FM synth,
Yeah,
sweet.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, I'm on the lookout, I would say, currently, for my next like move. Like, I want to get I would love to get an RS09, like, that would be great, like, on a string synth.
Yeah. Oh, that's sick.
Yeah, like my first LP encounter, I'll say like the A side featured a lot of RS09, but it wasn't mine. It's my buddy like John's.
Oh,
Yeah, John Sonnenberg. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know, just like, but that's been years. Like, I don't know. So yeah, it's cool to change it up,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like I said, we're getting close to wrapping up the show here. Shout out some music you've currently been digging, some homies.
Yeah. Oh shit.
Whoever you want to put on the airwaves, give them a little spotlight.
Yeah. Well, this one label, Ratskin Records, they've been doing
Oh,
cool stuff. Like I, as a label, like they just come to mind. Like yeah, I see them always just like dropping stuff.
is it you thinking about Wizard Apprentice and Spelling? I have the early stuff from them. Both of those are great releases.
Yeah, I appreciate their uh, enthusiasm. And sheesh, of course, like, yeah, I mean,
It's the hardest part, dude. This is the hardest part.
that's been a while, right? I actually just finished like 3 mixes too, so I've got some things from friends in there. But my friend Tommy, who I just started hanging with, who's also based in Chicago. It's in a group called Pure Link.
Pure Link.
Yeah, it's a trio.
That's
But
great.
he's on solo project, like, yeah. So it's just like some new Chicago presence that I've been stoked on.
Check them out. We'll have to throw them on the show.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I will say I've been listening a lot to like some of the New York, especially in the summertime, but still inspired by like the New York house, like House of Alter crew, like
What was that called? Say that one more time.
the House of Alter crew,
House of Alter.
label based in New York. Yeah, so they do mostly like house and techno,
That's
like
so sick.
Moment Ready. Yeah, I'm really into that.
Forest management. What's it called? Forest management, like DJ mix on House of Alter coming soon. Techno mix.
I don't know if I can keep up. Yeah, they really.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would say that because like I was, hanging out with my buddy Michael and just getting. It was good to like dance a little bit in the summer and like just kind of get moving, just being at home.
Exactly. That's cool, dude.
But,
so I think that just about does it for the show. Did you have any last remarks you want to put into the airwaves or archives? Like, where can people keep up with your work? What can people expect to come out soon?
I would say watch out for like the first week of the year, 2021. That's just something special I'm sharing. And yeah, I'm on Twitter way too much. Time, but I'm always on there, so it's a good way to keep in touch with me. But yeah, other than that, just staying busy. But I just want people to take care of themselves, and yeah, I'm always here to talk. You know, if anybody out there needs that. So,
Hell yeah, we love that.
Yeah, and I appreciate you guys, and I'm inspired to like. Yeah, I'm gonna be starting. I've got like 10% of my next record done so far, like Force Man. So, gonna like start on that soon.
And when we expecting that? Late 2021, 2022?
Yeah, probably late 2021. Yeah. So we'll see. I'm not quite sure if I'd either like self-release it but it'll be something like different, I guess, for my purposes. But yeah.
Hell yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to your new releases. I'm looking forward to your jazz label. Yeah, looking forward to everything you're doing. It's honestly amazing. Be sure to keep up with John on Twitter, Bandcamp, Reserve Matinee, all that stuff. So, Maddie, I think you got to hit him with the last question, dude. We got one more.
Well, we've got the final question. I've done this one before, and it's again more of a checkup. So a rat is going to jump into your mouth. There's no way you can stop it. Head or butt.
But yeah.
And yet still staying butt. That's what we like to see.
Consistency.
Yeah. I'm gonna stick with that. Yeah.
Why?
The concept of rat head is just not appealing, you know.
Firm and fair. No qualms. But I think that sums up everything we've wanted to do, or we've gotten to go through. I'm really hoping that we can make it out to Chicago for a house show, though, sometime. Just whatever venues are open. I know that you guys are working your hardest, and it means a lot. It really means a lot getting just all of this music out of those labels.
Yeah.
Love you guys to death. Thank you.
Appreciate it so much. Like it's comments like those that really help you keep going, you know. So
Yeah.
we are excited. There's just so much like art, like like so many weirdos in the Midwest we want to share with folks. So yeah, like the house show thing was going pretty hard up until the pandemic. So we'll get back into it, and yeah, I'm excited for like the next era, you know.
We're gonna hit the ground running next era. Come
Oh my
on,
God, we are.
vaccine town, vaccine time, whatever.
Oh, is that a tape? What is that?
It's the Geographic North one.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, you got whoa, Thomas.
Are we all just gonna show off our geographic North tape?
Screenshot that.
There we go.
That's so funny. Yo, Maddie, hold it up. Did we get the screenshot?
Yes.
I'll take a screenshot.
Although you can only see Thomas's and yours. Let me try one more time.
Oh, sure.
Hold on. Okay. There we go.
Yeah, I just got mine. Yeah.
Oh, very nice.
I'm gonna pop it in this weekend.
Oh, you should, dude. It's honestly a good listen. Yeah, I kind of like listening to it when it's like a little chilly out. You know, I feel like it's the vibe for that comp.
I had done the write up at Indie Heads on it, so I've spent the last 2 months really sitting with this one.
Yeah.
And I keep coming back to it's just perfect as it is as like 4 chronological acts or anthological pieces.
Yeah.
Everything's they're really meticulous about how they wanted to curate this.
I could tell, yeah, it was really intentional, and like it was they started preparing, I think, pretty much the start of the year.
Yeah.
The finesse track is dope too.
Yeah.
Oh, he's good. Also love that Lotus Plaza. That one was my
oh yeah. I think I remember trying to see Lotus Plaza in Cleveland live.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like I didn't have money for the tickets.
2012.
Potentially. It sounds, like Beachland Ballroom is a big, back in the Deer Hunter, like, touring days or something.
I love those guys to death.
Yeah.
So we have sorry about that. So we have a DJ set coming up for you right now, John. So what can we expect on there? Just some jazz stuff?
Yeah. So I was just kind of drinking some coffee earlier and like playing jazz from like a lot of favorites, mostly like Charles Mingus, Alice Coltrane, Max Roach, and then a few like Chicago sprinkles in there, just for like some stuff that I've actually found this year.
Hell yeah.
Stoked on.
Very stoked to hear that. So if you're listening now, be sure to stick around for that DJ set. And I think that's all we have for today. So thanks for tuning into TBD on KCSB FM 91.9 every Sunday, 4 to 6 p.m. and NetNet Radio every Saturday, 8 p.m. This is John from Forest Management. Be sure to stick around for the DJ set. Thanks again, John. Thanks again, Maddie.
Thank you so much, Jonathan.